Happy Halloween, geeks! I'm Adam,
And I'm Michael.
and we are here once again for the annual Wizard All Dressed Up and No Place to Go Halloween costume contest. Oh, this was something that everybody looked forward to every year,
Except for
especially.
me.
Oh, well, we definitely know you weren't participating, but there's some work on these costumes you just can't help but appreciate. And each year, I think we find something that kind of knocks our socks off. So I'm very curious to find out this time around what people were up to in this era of early cosplay. But I got to say that honestly, like each and every year, it has improved like exponentially.
For sure. And it's funny, we just had New York Comic Con in New York City this past weekend. And I feel like every year that I don't go, the cosplay is ridiculous. And all of the guests and panels are bananas. And I'm like, every year that I say, I don't want to go this year, it's the coolest year ever. And I'm like, oh.
All right. Well, I say let's get into it.
Okay, so our first one is Sandman by Eric Lee of Ridgewood, New York. I don't understand what the gobble 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 means. I mean,
Well, it's because he's wearing the Sandman mask that he uses to like travel, like in the
oh,
opening pages of the Sandman, and he's all naked and he's got
yes.
just the helmet on. So he's wearing a gas mask, so he looks like a turkey, I think is what they're
Ah,
saying.
okay, gotcha. Cool.
The only thing about this costume that I'll say is that it's great. They shot in a graveyard, and you can see they put some thought into it. But he's so far away from the camera, and he's just wearing a big cloak that you
It
can't really make out what is happening.
it's almost like pre-Harry Potter with the invisibility cloak. He's like, look, I'm invisible now.
Now, the next one here, speaking of graveyards and ghosts, we have Ghost from the Dark Horse Comics series. She says, "Come any closer, and I swear to God, somebody's getting married." She looks like a bride. And it is a great costume for just like throwing together a bunch of white stuff, a white bustier, some white
Yeah.
pants, a white veil. Like it gets the point across. She even painted her guns white, which is
Yeah, I like
awesome.
it. I like that a lot. So the next one is Zaz by Luke Zentner from Eugene, Oregon, and it's got a little.
Don't read that caption. Whatever
I,
you do, I
I'm
tell
not.
you, it's not a good idea.
I'm not going to. All I was going to say was the 4 GCPD with a little bat symbol on it.
Yeah, so you definitely see there. For those who don't know, Mr. Zaz, the villain who carves a little slice into his skin for every victim. So
Yep.
the only thing I'll say, is we're not going to read every caption here. You can see it, you can read it, because some of these have not aged well as
And
per
will get us
usual.
canceled.
Yeah. So next up here is a very cool Elektra costume. And so I think it's interesting because in one area you could, or one, area of what is involved in it, you're like, well, you're just throwing together a bunch of red fabric and you're wrapping it on yourself. But at the same time, like to really get the essence of the character, I think it comes across really well here.
I think so too. The one below it looks like somebody robbed the Roger Corman Fantastic Four set and got his The Thing costume. It's James M. Gill from Carrollton, Pennsylvania. And this caption says, because some other guy on some other job is Mr. Purple now. Shut up. You're Mr. Pink.
So a Reservoir Dogs reference.
Yes, which
Big.
is big movie. But, well, believe it or not, was not big in the theaters, just had a huge cult following after it got to VHS and so on, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, wait, I gotta say too, like if you really look at that Thing costume, the actual mask is pretty fantastic.
But the
It's the
body looks
body
like
that looks
really
like,
bad chicken pox.
yeah, or he was slathered in peanut butter, chunky peanut butter. Yeah, so that's pretty awesome. Now, the up at the top here, going back, we have Loki, which this guy is just having a great time. He's all smiles. He's My favorite part of this though is because just for throwing together and painting some stuff gold, it gets the point across of classic Loki. But he's wearing golden boxer shorts, and
Yes.
that is the part to me that just that makes the outfit.
It's almost very WWF style costume.
Yeah.
I'm Loki, Golden Underpants Man.
Or maybe it's gold dust. As
I was gonna say gold dust is my joke, but I was like, I don't want to get sued for like copyright stuff or who knows. So the next one down is Gambit by Adrian uh, Puente or
Puente.
Puente, yes, by Adrian Puente from Chicago Heights, Illinois. It says ultra slim, fast, mon ami. Never heard of it. Why?
Now, this is, unfortunately, last year there was a fantastic Gambit costume that was a kid that I said I thought should have won, and he was a little heavy, and this guy is a little filled out too, so they're making an ultra slim fast joke. But what I think is funny to me is it's obviously, you know, he took the picture on his back porch in his backyard, and he's holding playing cards, but through one of the slats is like a children's slide. From the play set, and it looks like he's holding toilet paper. Like
yes, it does.
Hanging down. Now, the last one here on this page, we have Mr. Sinister. This Chris Allo, I feel like, is somebody who reached out to us and said that they were Mr. Sinister once. Like, that's a name that jumps out. So when we post this again, maybe we'll hear from him. But my favorite part of this is it's a great looking costume. The makeup application is fantastic. And he says, I'm so sinister, I ignore all electric outlet safety rules, because he didn't crop the photo properly. And in the bottom left, you see there is an outlet with a bunch of plugs, too many plugs. So I love how they pay attention to those little details, you know.
That is pretty funny.
Yeah. All right, well, on to page 2.
All right, so we've got Teen Titans. We're just like superheroes, only smaller. That, and we need help using the toilet. Special tip of the hat to those super-powered tykes who really look cool. These little guys each win a bonus prize of a new Teen Titans #1 signed by Dan Jurgens. And the first one is Mary Marvel by Elena Garcia, another Brooklyn, New York. Look at that. Who knew?
Now, Michael, I don't know if you recognize the villain that she is punching.
I mean, vaguely, but I couldn't put my finger on it.
So I'm almost certain this is supposed to be based on the villain from the Captain Marvel serials, the old black and white. And that was this guy like the Black Spider or something. Like he was just this guy in a black robe. And I'm almost certain that is what is happening here. So I thought that was a pretty nice nod. Now, this next one here that is the Atom, which is J.R. McCartney of Millersville, Maryland. I have to believe that literally like the parent was walking by, saw these giant pencils as part of a playground display and said, I've got it. Gonna win that costume contest this year. But my favorite thing about him is he's like, effing 0 hour. Because like they're saying here, they're getting a Teen Titans #1 signed by Dan Jurgens, and that's what it was. It featured the de-aged Atom, who is now a teenager. Mm-hmm. And so I just love when they work in the continuity stuff there.
That is pretty funny. The next one down is Batmite, Brandon Collins from Loyal, Kentucky. And it says, suddenly, Catwoman looked a whole lot different to a de-aged Batman.
Lunch. That's like, come on. Anyway, next one to go back up to the top, we have Scarlet Witch, and it is Gina Logan of Jackson, New Jersey. She says, I, Homo Superior, command you, pull my finger. And this is one of many fart jokes in this Halloween costume contest. Sure. They keep going back to that well, and I am disappointed in their comedy chops. But I love the fact that behind her is a guy with, he's pushing a stroller. So it's like, is that Vision pushing their twins in a stroller, you know?
Who knows? Oh, boy. Photoshop was not a thing yet, so
she's like, I found a brick wall. It's the perfect background of this guy photobombs them with this stroller.
The next one down is Supergirl by Jessica Monroe of Santa Clarita, California, and it says, I guess a bear does plank in the woods.
Now,
I guess because she's in the woods?
Yeah, she's in the woods, in the snow, which is really bizarre. Like for Supergirl, what is the point of that? She's walking along a log, but the costume is fantastic. It's full on 80s Supergirl. It's
very much so. Yeah, no, it looks cool.
Right above her, though, is Emplate from Generation X, who is a villain in there, and you can't see it because the word balloon is blocking it, but they actually created a Generation X sign like in the background behind them. So I think Jason Senior of Weedville, Pennsylvania, did a pretty good job here. I actually first thought it was an action figure. I was like, huh?
Now, speaking of a pretty good job, the bottom of that page is Xena Warrior Princess by May Parahushki from Midwest City, Oklahoma. And it is a very, very good Xena, I'll say. I mean, she even looks like her, which is pretty crazy. And the caption says, geez, all it takes is one stiff breeze, and maybe if I hold my...
So she's just holding down her skirt, basically, with the sword.
I gathered that. Oh, boy.
But going over to the next page here, we have another, like, I don't know, Spawn seems like it was like almost an easy costume, because every Spawn that has come up in these costume contests looks fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, this is Brett Musel, but the costume was credited to Samuel B. Rapien. He's just like, why am I tormented so? Am I ever to find happy? Wait a minute. What's that rumbling sound? It's the train is coming up behind him. It's rumbling on the tracks. Okay, you get some credit for that one, Wizard.
The next one down is Thor by Matt Fortalone from Smithtown, New York, which is very close to where I live and right near Fourth World Comics, literally in the town of Smithtown, which is kind of funny. And it's a pretty decent little, homemade Thor. Turn base villain, turn face Thor, God of beer.
Well, and he's caught, like, he's swinging the hammer, and it looks like it's being caught, mid-swing right at the correct spot, or was it being hung up by a wire? That's what I want to know about this. But he's got some nice navy blue boxer shorts as well.
Sure
so does. Loki, quite a pair.
You bet.
And then down from Thor, we have Kabuki, and I just think it's funny, like, if you look at it at first, you're just like, okay, it's a decent costume, looks like the character. And then you see wham, pow, thwack, and you're like, why'd they do that? Oh, the Dutch angle tilt of the picture. Because you see, she's not straight up and down, and it's a very odd angle that they filmed it at. So Terry Lohmeyer of Ridgely, Maryland, excellent work there. And you earned your mockery.
That's funny. So the next one we have is Evangeline by Bliss M. Bells from Tacoma, Washington. And I'm afraid to read this. I feel this is going to be another one that's going to be like, oh boy. More dynamic? Okay, how about I hold the sword like, ow, damn, I'm suing.
Now, what I find interesting about this is her name is Bliss, which that sounds like a great superhero name, and she's playing
think that's a real name, though?
Hard to say, although her costume looks about as good as the professional Evangeline model, Kathy Christian. So I'm just like, ultimately that costume wasn't like fantastic in any way. It was just like, women's fashion organized in a certain way. So speaking of interesting names, our next one is Dawn from the Cry for Dawn books, but the model is Dawn Tafflinger. Her name is Dawn. Like, of course, she was inspired.
On the nose there.
Yeah. And then she's from San Antonio, Texas. Her word balloon says, I just can't get this darn makeup right. Oh, wait. She's supposed to have the tears, the runny mascara. But it's pretty good. All these girls with swords, too. There's a lot of swords on this page.
A lot of swords. So right above that is Superboy, the 90s Superboy with a leather jacket by Sean Bray of Seekonk, Massachusetts. And I feel like this guy looks like somebody that he could have been a wizard staffer at some point.
Yeah. Well, and also he looks a little bit like Charlie Cox, who plays Daredevil in that. Yeah. Like if you look at him up there. But the funny thing, why is he in front? I guess it's supposed to be in front of a lingerie store. He's at Victoria's Secret.
I guess some sort of, or is that like a Baywatch poster? I can't tell, but it's.
But also, Michael, do you remember last year there was a guy in an identical Superboy costume, and I was just like, did he just borrow that guy's costume? Is it the same guy?
It's very close. Yeah, it's very, very close.
So this is our last full page here. This is the final countdown to our grand prize winner, but we have a fun sidebar here, Michael.
Uh-oh. Okay, I'm ready.
This is Brian Parsley's Parade of Stars. So it says maybe Brian Parsley's chicken. That explained why he never appeared in any of them costumes he made. Still, the costumes he made were so freaking cool, he deserves a little something extra. So on top of the prizes these suits already won, Brian takes home a Kingdom Come card set with the first card autographed by Mark Waid and Alex Ross.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
But so these next three costumes, this guy created all of them. So the Batgirl, that I'm trying to figure out, like, I know that's just like a classic Batgirl comics costume, but it really looks like animated series.
It's definitely animated series. It's definitely like kind of an amalgam homage to the 60s Batgirl, but in the Batman the Animated Series style costume, I feel like.
Yeah, and the model also has a comic book named Jennifer Jordan. Come on, the alliteration on there.
Right? Like, come on. That was written for her. Perfect.
Yeah, Daredevil with nunchucks, which again, just you got a red bodysuit. And then we have American-made Sean Harris. And I love this. Their caption is, Captain America receives his new Heroes Reborn costume.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. You want to take the last one, too, on the bottom?
Yeah, so I thought, that he didn't get all four. He did four, not just three. So the last one is Eon Flux. And this costume honestly feels like it should have won because it is like spot on. Spot on,
100%, yeah. Even the hair, the gun, the whole thing is right on target, which is really cool. So now going back to the top of the page, we have Spider-Man by Hiram A. Smith. And he wrote, Ben Reilly, ugh, bad idea, cool costume design. Another Brooklyn, New Yorker, look at that. My days are numbered. My days are numbered. My days are numbered. Uh-oh.
I like how he's in front of some lattice work. I guess supposed to invoke a web, right? Cheap webs, lattice work.
Sure, yeah. I was at my prom, and this is our photograph shoot.
All right, next one here. Scarecrow says, yeah, I may look like Bleep, but I still look better than Judy Garland's corpse. Come on, Wizard. Come on.
That's dark.
That is dark, but I get it. Scarecrow, Wizard of Oz, okay. Lance E. Coulter of Burton, South Carolina. So I always have the question, I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be the DC Scarecrow, right?
Yes.
This is not the Marvel Scarecrow.
Crane, I would assume, yeah.
Yeah, because I think Marvel Scarecrow doesn't have a hat, but the DC one does. I think that's the telltale sign.
Yeah. So the next one down is Impulse by Ryan Purvis of Strongsville, Ohio. And I like that they threw in the actual comic cover that ties in the stop sign situation, which is kind of cool. And it says, wow, Speed Force. Whoa, I feel so energetic, active. Yeah.
Because he's just standing there. No action pose, really.
Nope.
All right. And then last one here on that page, we have Too Much Coffee Man, Martin Quaylar of Austin, Texas. Yep. I lost the bet. But
boy.
I mean, overall, it's a ridiculous character anyway, so you can't feel too ridiculous wearing any version of that costume.
Agreed. So now at the top of the next page, we have Space Ghost and Blue Falcon by Jeff Johnson and Richard McCaslin. And there's actually a couple of different weird poses with these guys. Space Ghost is like, I'm so manly. And then Blue Falcon says, hey, SG, that your stupid space monkey in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me? Okay. Moving on.
Yeah. But that is like, just again, for that era to have a Space Ghost and Blue Falcon, it's definitely a throwback to the 70s children.
Well, no, it was also because on Cartoon Network, they had Space Ghost Coast to Coast at this time, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's definitely getting everybody's attention again. Now below them, we have Doctor Strange and Rogue, which is a very strange pairing. But you have Doctor Strange saying, hey, baby, want to see my Eye of Agamotto? Get bent, creep. Which is pretty good. So Sergio Saveri and Marzia Veneri of Arezzo, Italy. I just think it's funny that their last names rhyme.
Yes.
Saveri and Veneri.
Very Italian of them. So below that, we've got Spider-Woman 1 and 2 by Tina Bieber and Suzanne Forney from Valley Stream, New York, which is, again, probably about 25 minutes from me. When two of Marvel's most powerful superheroines team up, we want to know about it. I guess they're saying like we're not two of their most powerful. But shing.
So at the top here now, we have a whole collection of Star Wars costumes. Now the first one is a Tusken Raider, and the guy is saying, "You stay out of my yard, freaking Jawas." Which I love. That's the kind of jokes I want. I would love to see just like life on Tatooine, and that'd be hilarious.
I feel like the Star Warriors below here were from last year because it looks like the same crew of people. And it says Star Warriors, C-3PO, Foreman, Princess Leia, Leah Han, Han Solo, Brian Golzia, Chewie is Ken Seals, Obi-Wan is Frank Logan, R2-D2, Soulless Prop, and Luke Skywalker is Rob Hawkins.
Now, I want to comment on just the names of these people, because look at the order they put it in. Princess Leia, Leia Han, Han Solo. Leia Han, Han Solo. Like, like did Wizard do that on purpose? Is that just, but I also love the idea of being named Frank Logan. That just sounds like a TV detective. I'm Frank Logan. All right, next one here, Swayed by the Force. They said, the most popular costume theme this year, Star Wars. The most popular costume, Boba Fett. But hey, all these Star Wars groupies look keen. So keen, in fact, that they each win a bonus prize of the Black Pearl #1 signed by Mark Hamill. And so we have a Boba Fett, John Green from Freeport, New York, and he says,
again, very close to me too. Freeport is like on my train line. This is weird.
How are you not dressing up? Everybody in your area loves to dress up, Michael. Join the crowd. Come on.
Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. So then the next one down is Biker Scouts, all by Jerry Lee.
So that is it for all like the people who just won for participating and being in this. We are about to get to the grand prize winner. And here it is. Our grand prize winner is Wonder Woman by Rebecca Avello from Hollywood, Florida.
Wow.
So what are your just first impressions when you see the costume?
I mean, it is very, very accurate to the cover that they're posing it against. I'm curious if she's wearing a wig or if that's her actual hair. My first real question. I think it's really good. Do I think it's the best costume of the lot? Probably not. But I mean, it's pretty darn accurate to the cover that it's going for.
Well, here's what they say, because they say tough competition this year, and while Eon Flux, Impulse, and the Space Ghost Blue Falcon combo were all in the running, Rebecca and her Wonder Woman outfit stole the show. So a lot of the ones that we pointed out as being awesome, they thought so too. But here is what they say, and I think this is the reason she won. It says, as for the costume itself, it took Rebecca nearly a year to do. Quote, wow. It's all hand sewn because I don't have a sewing machine. The costume itself is all spandex. The stars on the bottom are all appliques that I sewed on. The bracelets were made of PVC pipe that I painted, sawed in half, and hinged together so they really snap on my wrists.
Wow.
And so then she talks about like she had to find boots at a thrift store and all this stuff. So, I mean, it's wild to me. Like it took a year making this costume, building it, and it looks fantastic for the time put in. So I just think while a lot of them like evoke the character, this just, like you say, 100% just says and plus the way she frames her photo, it's like dramatic lighting, like
it was well thought about. Like they weren't just like in front of a guy with a stroller.
Yeah. So Michael, though, this is who Wizard chose as the grand prize winner. But for you, is there a costume that stood out the most, that just, got you most excited for this contest this year?
I think the Eon Flux is pretty darn good, man. I mean, that was pretty impressive, I gotta say, because it's so, like, the show was relatively new at this point, and to be able to design it, fabricate it, figure it out, and even get like a location that kind of worked with the shot as well is pretty good. But this is a good close second.
Yeah, and I gotta say, for me, just from a concept standpoint and pretty fantastic execution, the Jessica Drew Spider-Woman and the Julia Carpenter Spider-Woman combo, that is fantastic to me.
Yeah.
Just, we've been talking recently on the show, we love the Julia Carpenter Spider-Woman. So I just think that's so neat that somebody took it to the next level and said, yeah, let's do a team up. And have they teamed up? That's the other thing I wanted. That has to have happened, right?
Oh, I mean, I would assume so. I mean, maybe not at this point, but they do in the future several times.
Okay. All right. Well, Michael, that is the Halloween costume contest for this year. I think they did an excellent job, and so did all the entrants. I do want to mention real quick, one extra thing that Wizard included in here was a tutorial on how you could actually create your own cosplay. They wanted to get better costumes for the next year. So let me just share this with you all here. All right, so what we have here is obviously somebody who made a pretty awesome Angela costume. We won't get into all the details because it's literally like a piece by piece. This is how I made this. This is how I made that. All of it really involved a lot of spandex, which they said was like the super material that could do anything.
Yeah.
And then some, special types of, foam that they could sculpt and things like that. But they based it all on the larger size. Like McFarlane had released this like 10-inch Angela figure. So they said, we have all the pieces laid out for us there. We just have to recreate them in a human form. So anyway, I just thought this is really worth sharing because it was just such a cool idea to say, you like what you're seeing? Now go to it. I don't know how many people were capable, but maybe their moms or grandmas were.
I like the tools they have are the same that you would use if you were a serial killer as well. A bone saw, baby.
Yeah. I think it's interesting too, just like that there are little jokes that the model and her friend, who they all put her together, like, but she says here for the bustier, using a $7 strapless bra from Kmart is the foundation. Did you think I went to Victoria's Secret and spent a fortune? Yes, making some nice commentary there. And then here we have the final product. Which again looks very dramatic. I actually like this angle a little bit better than like the from down below.
So this is a better angle than the first one for sure.
Yeah, it gives you the full effect of what's going on there. And she does recommend that people wear wigs because then you can make them look however you want. But she also adds a cool detail here. She says, and if you want to get Angela's white eyes, simply cover your eyelids with white face paint and close your eyes for the pictures.
Oh, there you go. Not bad.
Tip. Well, Michael, I think we've accomplished it for this year. We can send everybody out to do their trick-or-treating, get out to their own costumes, but we want to see what you are dressing up as this year. If you are going superhero or comic book themed, why don't you share it and at us on our social media, which is where, Michael?
So on Twitter, it's at Wizards Comics. On Instagram, it's at Wizards_comics. And if you don't feel comfortable just like sharing it, you can also email it to us at wizardscomicspod@gmail.com. And if you're okay with us sharing it on our feed, we'll post it that way, either in our stories or whatever. But we'd love to see what your comic costumes or cosplay or even whatever cool stuff you got coming up with. Let us know. We'd love to check it out.
And who knows, in the spirit of Wizard, we might just send you a little bonus for sharing with us. So,
and I promise, I will add this. I promise we will not make off-color comments like Wizard does to their people that submit.
We will praise your efforts and your bravery in donning these costumes. That is for sure. But hey, until next time, keep your books bagged and boarded.